Cameras can be used to produce much more information than just video. In this case, we see a camera that is looking straight into the door to see who is going in through the door. But we can also see that we have a QR code stuck on this door, and the camera is constantly detecting this QR code. And with this information, the camera can derive the information about is the door closed or is the door open. And this can then be fed into your video management system or whatever system you might have to make this video searchable or to show live statuses on a dashboard, for example. So in this video, we're going to take a look at how we have actually created this use case, how we have set it up using the FixedIT QR Code Decoder and the FixedIT Data Agent. So the first thing we see here is that we have created a QR code sticker and we have put it on the door. This means that if the QR code is in this position, then the door is closed. If the QR code is somewhere else or if it's not visible at all, then the door is open. But that is making the assumption that we don't have any inclusions. So we will get back to that later. But before that, let's go to the application tab, because this is where everything intelligent in the edge device happens. So we have two different applications here that are actually part of this. We have the FixedIT QR Code Decoder, which is constantly scanning the frame for QR codes and outputting each detection as a message with the position of the code and the decoded information of the QR code. And this information is get picked up by the FixedIT Data Agent, which is our programmable platform to make it easy to create your own edge workflows. So if we open the FixedIT Data Agent, then we can see that we have two different tabs here that we will look at, the configuration and the custom UI. So the configuration is where you upload your own script and configuration files, which tells the data agent what to do and how to behave and where to get data from and where to send data to. So it's essentially an opinionated workflow that you create using configuration files. So we have a TOML file that sets up the high-level workflow definition. And then we have different plugins that we make use of, input plugins, output plugins, processor plugins, and so forth. And these plugins can make use of scripted languages to analyze the data that is passing through the data agent. So starting with our first input here, we have an input plugin, which is listening to a socket. And this is listening to the socket that the FixedIT QR Code Decoder is writing to. So this is how we ingest all the real-time object detections or QR code detections into the data agent workflow. The next thing we do after parsing this information is that we have an exec input, which will trigger at a fixed interval, so every 5th second. And this will just produce a static heartbeat message. And the reason we do this is because, as we said before, if we look on this stream again, we might have these intermittent reading failures where we fail to detect the code. So if I'm holding up my hand here and trying to occlude the view, here we see that we lost the detection for a while, but the door state didn't change to close. This is because we're implementing this 5-second grace period or threshold value. So we need to not detect any QR code for 5 seconds before triggering a message that the door is open. And that is what we do with this heartbeat. So this heartbeat, together with the QR code readings, goes into this processor, which is a Starlock processor, and Starlock is a Python-like language. So you might see that this looks essentially exactly the same as Python. So this processor will get called whenever there is a heartbeat message every 5th second or whenever there is a new QR code detected. And here we can add filtering for include zones. We can filter for specific data messages in the QR code and so forth. And the logic here is essentially that if we see a QR code, then the door is definitely closed. If we don't see a QR code and we haven't seen one for 5 seconds, then we change to an open state. and that's when we want to trigger an alarm. So for alarm generation, we are using the event bus in the Access camera. And if we go back to the Access camera interface, we can see how we have set up this overlay here. So it's based on the events, which is a built-in functionality in our Access camera. And here we can see that we have two different events set up. We have one door state overlay closed and one door state overlay open, which will produce a text each one while the event is active. And if we inspect one of these events, we can see that we are using the FixedIT door state event as a trigger. So then the next question is, how is this event declared? And that is done in the FixedIT Data Agent. We can see here that we are creating the FixedIT door state event here using a topic structure and the TNS Access namespace, meaning that it will be an Access event that is visible through the Access user interface. And can be used in the rule engine. And here we are deciding what data items we should have in this event. And we can also add further outputs. So for example, if we want to have a live dashboard showing the state of the door, if it's open or closed, then we can make use of the InfluxDB v2 output and just tell it what URL and what information we have for our database, and it will automatically push the information in real time to that database. So that's all the code that is needed to consume QR code detections and do the logic filtering to see if the door is open or not. So let's actually test this. If we go back to the stream state, and we see now that the door is closed. So I'm going to go for a small walk and show you how it looks like. So as you might have noticed there, when I open the door, there is a slight delay until it shows as open, and that is because we have this 5-second interval to be kind of like a debounce against failed detections. But when we close the door, it was much faster to note it, because on the first successful detection of the QR code, it will see that it's closed again. So if we wanted to do this even more granular, then we wanted to probably have a user interface where we can tell exactly where this QR code should be. Because now if the door is just slightly open, then the QR code will be in another location. And right now it will still be noted as open because we still can see it. But if we had a user interface where we could click at this point and say that this is where the QR code should be, plus minus a certain amount of pixels, then we could do this. And doing the backend logic for this is super simple. We have our Python-like code here that is already analyzing it. So just comparing the X and Y position to a known position would be very simple. The next problem then is, how do we make this configurable? We want to have a user interface where we can actually click on the image to show or to tell it where the QR code should be. And that is what the custom UI is for. So here we can upload custom HTML files, meaning that we can create a simple front end for application that is fetching the camera view from the camera and just allowing us to click on that view and saving the coordinates. So that would be very simple task to create such a user interface, and then you just upload this user interface and it will be available here among your user interface. So that is how you would go ahead and set up this configuration with the data agent to detect if the door is open or not, and to send this information either as an event or to send it to InfluxDB, or you can make use, for example, of the MQTT output to instead push it to MQTT.